Hello everybody. In this lesson we continue with widgets, stateless widgets and the build function. So in this lesson we continue with the previous lesson and remove some unnecessary code line, remove unnecessary and left blank. We only have the main function and the run app function. We remove car and configuration, not necessary. We can delete anyway, as not important. So the first time we have the center. The center is a widget, and a screen can contain many widgets. Yes, the widget is a basic element of a screen, and your page or your screen is also one widget, and one widget can contain many widgets inside. Yes, so the center widget has a child of text, and the text here is also a widget. The text here has a property of child, the property of style and text direction. Yes, so center is a widget, and every widget inside the center is aligned to center X and center Y, or center vertically and center horizontally, or it is in the center of your screen. So now I can define a class. So each widget is defined by defining a class. I call this my app, and this class inherit or extend from stateless widgets. What about the state or stateless? Stateless means that it is a property that binding to the use interface. When the state changes, the use interface is changed. Okay, so it is a content of state. So state is an internal properties, and when the internal property change, the use interface is also changed. Yeah. And what about another way to remember the state is that the state is internal and private for a specific widget. Yes, you have to build to override the build function, and the build function is an abstract method from parent class stateless widgets, and the build function is run when the state changes, and it is called the first time the widgets reload. The first time reload, the build is called, and when the state changes, the build is also called. Okay, so after running the program again to see, okay, so I can see the center text, hello, this is my app. So here is my app widget, is my custom widget, my define widgets. I can define my widgets. So how to send an argument, send object or parameters to this widget. So let's define a constructor here. A constructor means a function which initializes an object from the class. So we define two properties with a constructor. This is the name, the constructor with name arguments, and the constructor here has two properties, name and age, and I transmit the parameters to this using my app open function name and age. Name is 1, age is 18. Yes, and I can display to this using this.name and this.age. Yes, this dot name and this dot age. Okay. So two property here, name and age. With this and without this, it is the same. It is the same. Yes. So now we continue with we copy this element of this widgets, and I use a material arc widgets. The material arc widgets support a screen with material design, and it has a first property of title, a second property home. So the home here, okay, so here, but the background is black. And how to change the background of your screen? How to change? To change the background, you can wrap it into a scaffold. Yeah, a scaffold is also the widgets that support material design, and it is all the way inside the material app, and it is the body of the material app. Then you paste your code inside the body. So the center is the body of scaffold. So we have the background of white. Yes, white color. You can change more. So in some next lesson, change background is not as simple as some other mobile framework. So you can change the color of the text by changing text style. You change the text style. You change the font size. Okay. So you can add, change. Okay. Thank you very much for watching this lesson. Bye bye and see you next time. Hello everybody. In this lesson we continue with widgets, stateless widgets, and the build function. So in this lesson we continue with the previous lesson and remove some unnecessary code line, remove unnecessary and left blank. We only have the main function and the run app function. We remove car and configuration, not necessary. You can delete anyway, yes, not important. So the first time we have the center. The center is a widgets, and a screen can contain many widgets. Yes, the widget is a basic element of a screen, and your page or your screen is also one widget, and one widget can contain many widgets inside. Yes. So the center widget has a child of text, and the text here is also a widget. The text here has a property of child, the property of style and text duration. Yes. So center is a widget, and every widget inside the center is aligned to center X and center Y, or center vertically and center horizontally, or it is in the center of your screen. So now I can define a class. So each widget is defined by defining a class. I call this my app, and this class inherit or extend from stateless widgets. What about the state or stateless? Stateless means that it is a property that binding to the user interface. When the state changes, the user interface is changed. Okay, so it is a content of state. So state is an internal properties, and when the internal property change, the user interface is also changed. And what about another way to remember the state is that the state is internal and private for a specific widget. Yes, you have to build to override the build function, and the build function is an abstract method from parent class stateless widgets, and the build function is run when the state changes, and it is called the first time the widgets reload. The first time reload, the build is called, and when the state changes, the build is also called. Okay, so after running the program again to see, okay, so I can see the center text, hello, this is my app. So here is my app, which is my custom widgets, my defined widgets. I can define my widgets. So how to send an argument, send object or parameters to these widgets. So let's define a constructor here. A constructor means a function which initializes an object from the class. So we define two properties with a constructor. Is the name, the constructor with name arguments, and the constructor here has two property, name and age, and I transmit the parameters to this using my app open function name and age. Name is 1, age is 18. Yes, and I can display to this using this.name and this.age. Yes, this.name and this.age. Okay, so two property here, name and age. With this and without this, it is the same. It is the same. Yes. So now we continue with we copy this element of this widgets, and I use a material app widgets. The material app widgets support a screen with material design, and it has a first property of title, a second property home. So the home here, okay, so here, but the background is black. And how to change the background of your screen? How to change? To change the background, you can wrap it into a scaffold. Yeah, a scaffold is also the widgets that support material design, and it is all the way inside the material app, and it is the body of the material app. Then you paste your code inside the body. So the center is the body of scaffold. So we have the background of white. Yes, white color. You can change more. So in some next lesson, change background is not as simple as some other mobile framework. So you can change the color of the text by changing text style. You change the text style. You change the font size. Okay, so you can add, change. Okay, thank you very much for watching this lesson. Bye bye and see you next time. Hello everyone. Today we continue with stateful widgets, and we demo use the text field widgets. So in this lesson we continue from the previous lesson, and I place the widgets to separated file, we define a new file or Dart file, and then I place the code for the widgets inside this file. So for example, if you have the file my app.dart, then we place the my app widgets inside this file, and in main.dart I import the my app.dart, and then I can run call the my app inside this file, and it works normally as from the previous lesson. So there are some files, for example test file. You can remove test file, and you can also remove unnecessary file. So in this stage we have stateless widgets, and now we have stateful widgets. What about stateful widgets? Stateful widgets are inside these widgets we have some state. State means that some variable, some object, and this object binding to the user interface. When the object is changed, the view is recalled. So each stateful widget has two classes. One public class stands from stateful widgets, and this class is visible when you call outside this file. And the second class is a private class, and this private class contains the view UI function and contains state. Okay, so it is quite clear when we define a class, a stateful widget, we must define two classes. One class stands from the stateful widgets, and the second class is a private class which stands from the stateful of the widgets, the state of the widgets. And the private class must implement the build function to reload the user interface when the state changes. So the child here, is the children. The child of the center is text. So inside my app, I define the label parameter for the constructor with two parameters, name and age. Okay, and reload the program again, and some error because you have to add material app inside. So the material app is the widgets for material design using by Google, and inside the stateful material app we have the home property, and the home property normally use scaffold widgets, and inside scaffold widgets we can add my center, text, etc. inside this widgets. So we display to the screen the text means it is a stateful widget, and you can also style the text using style with objects of text style with font size, color. Yes, for easier to understand, use a red color. Yes, and reload the program again to see the output. So now this is called name is state. No, it is not state. It is only the property of the stateful widgets, and it is public. Yes, and it is public, and it can transfer the property from external widgets to the my app. So if you want to call the name, you must use syntax this dot widgets and dot property name of public stateful widgets. Okay, so this is called property or props. So the child here, you can choose you can choose the column means that inside the column we have multiple widgets. For example, we have multiple text inside this column. The column can contain many child, or it is called children. So the children here is maybe a list. The children here is an array of widgets. Okay, so in this case we have three child widgets. Text, we have three text inside the widgets. So each text displays a separate information. So we choose this is line 1, similarly to second text, it is line 2. Yes, and we have a 3 text widgets, and we reload the program again to see 3 line. And we also have the option to distribute the children or the every child of the column. Main axis alignment here to center, and we have a two property of column, 2 main property of column, main axis alignment and cross axis alignment. You can modify the property for this alignment to align the internal children by column or by row. That's right. Reload the program again, so it is at the seat center. So if you remove some and remove the first, and I replace with the text field. The text field has property of decoration, or the type of input decoration. Input decoration allow you to set border to the text field, set the label text for the text field. For example, label text is a hint text for user to enter your information. For example, enter your name, enter your email, etc. So type the information inside the text field, and this is called the input decoration. So we replace the input decoration with container, and the container has a child text field. Then command S to save this file. We change the padding. The padding to we use padding inset symmetric. Symmetric mean vertical or horizontally. Vertical mean top, bottom, and horizontal mean left and right. So we choose by using horizontal 20, and vertically is about 10. Okay, it is good. So we have the space, the space for the content of the container, and the container here is outside of the text field. The container is now outside of the text field. So inside the border, we can change the border radius. The border radius is a value, is unchanged value, so we can use a constant border radius all. So the border radius for all direction, up, down, left, right. Okay. So this is also called a constant. So the value here is constant radius dot circular 20 pixel. Yes, you can change the size and see the output. Yes, you change the size and you reload the program, reload the code to see the output to display. Yes. So now what about the so below the text field we can add more widgets below the text field, and in this case we want to display the state. The state mean the state here mean the value, the text value you type to your text field. what you type in your text field is a state, because it is internal change and it is affect to the user interface, to what you see. So this is state. I define it as email. The email here is only access inside the my state, my app state, and it is binding with the user interface or with the text field. Okay, so in this case, how to get value from text field? Use a controller or text editing controller. So we define a text editing controller object, and I initialize the email editing controller to the object of text editing controller, and the controller is binding to the controller property of the text field. Yes, so controller property of text field is the email editing controller. Yes. So when you change the text inside the text field, we have the function onChange. The method onChange has the property of text. Text here mean the value you type to the text field. Yeah. And you change that by calling the function zip.setState. So every comment inside the function of this setState, you can change the state inside this. So the state here is email. The content of the email is the content of text you type to the text field. Okay, and after you set this value, the build function is called again, is reload again to reload the user interface. Yes. So the second text is I get the value of controller by using email dot what. So the email firstly is a blank string. Okay, so when you type the value inside the text field, the value is displayed in text field in the text widgets. So it is very clear when you want to change the value of the state, and the value of state affect to the user interface to display in the text. So here it is only called inside the stateful widgets. Yeah, it is called state. Okay. So I change a little bit, change the result here. Yes, see the result here. So when you type, yes, when you type the email, then the value is saved and change state. After changing state, it will display the value in the text, because the text here gets a value of the state. Okay. So this is quite clear to use this example to help you understand about text field and state. So this is the end of my lesson today. Thanks for watching. Bye bye. Hello everyone. Today we continue with the life cycle of widgets, and we use the widgets binding observer. So in this lesson, I want to show you about some of the functions that are widgets. When this widget is created and running, there are three functions about the life cycle can be concerned. Firstly, it call the constructor, and then the init state, and then build is trigger, then we call set state, and dispose is called when the state or the component is removed. So now firstly we implement or we override the init state function, print init state. Okay, we initialize the init state. Simply we print now to the console run init state. Okay. There are various kind of functions inside the life cycle, and I will step by step to give you a demo. So run dispose. The dispose is called when the state is removed. When you navigate to a widget or a screen and you navigate back to the previous screen, so it will run dispose. Okay. So the build function is a function that is called or trigger every time the widget is changed. When a widget changes, the build is re-trigger again. Okay, so run the program again to see the output. Yes, run Xcode build. You can choose the iPhone simulator or your actual device. Yes, after running. So debugging your program, it firstly stop at the run init state. Yes, and you can press next or continue to the next command and to the next line. So you press here to continue. Yes. So maybe there's some wrong. No. Yes, you press continue or press next. So the build function is called the first time, and then we continue. Yes, continue. So no change. But here, when you change the state, Yes, you set a breakpoint here, change the state. For example, or you type something, okay, then the set state is called, and then the build is rerun again or trigger. The build is rerun again as next. So when you change the text field, the value in text field, the state will be changed. The state changed, then the print is recalled again. Okay, so after that, done, space. Okay, so you can type your text, and when you type the on change is called, then state is changed. Okay, so here when you move the application to the background, no change. So you must dispose the email editing controller, or you free memory of the object when the widget is removed. So we have with. So if class A implement the protocol X, the syntax is here with. So widget binding observer is a protocol. It is something like interface in Java. So widget in binding observer contain many functions. So if you implement the function inside the protocol, something will occur. So here we have some of the abstract method in this protocol. For example, the change after lifecycle state, and in this function you compare the state. So we have various type of state. Pause is resume and etc. Pause mean the application is in background mode, and resume mean the application is in foreground mode. Yes, foreground mode mean when the application displayed and you can see it, and background mode is the time you cannot see your application. you see other application. So you must add observer and remove observer at the init state and dispose. These two functions contain one function for add observer and the second remove observer. Observer means this component or this widgets. So remove some and run again. Run the simulator or plug your actual device inside your computer and run. Okay, so init state run the first time, the init state run the first time, and next you can also press next, continue, and the change life cycle is called when you click to your home page, you open your device and click to home page or open another application. So this application will become will be in background mode. Okay, so app is in background mode. The function here is called, yes. Otherwise, if you click to the application and the application display, you can see the app in foreground mode, and press home. Okay, and next. Okay, refresh the program again to run. Yes. So after press running, you wait the application show. When the application display the run state, yes, run build and app in foreground mode. Yeah, it displays and it is in foreground mode. And now, if I want it run in background mode, then press home. Yes, home. So app here is in application here is in background mode. Yes. Okay. And when you type, the view is recalled again. Okay. So that is the end of my lesson today about the life cycle in Flutter. Thank you very much for watching. Bye bye and see you again. Hello everyone. Today I continue with Flutter package and how to use with datetime and the library name intl is a library for modifying or for showing, for display datetime variable. So in the previous lesson we removed unnecessary code for widgets binding observer, and I will add more library or package inside the existing project. For adding more package or library inside a project, you need to modify a file name pubspec.yaml. And so remove some unnecessary code. So remove the code for setting, for state. Okay, so only display here. What's wrong? What's wrong with this? So there's something wrong. This is my code, and here in Dart I remove the parameter in constructor. Okay. So this is very simple. My app component or widgets. So reload the program again. Performing hot restart. So restart the application. And in my app state, I want to show something, and I want to use the external library. Okay, so at this line I want to so now I want to display datetime, or the current datetime. Current datetime now is datetime.now. I call the function now to get the current timestamp, or that the current datetime variable. So I display by calling toString to convert an object to string and modify the text style, modify the font size and color, and then so we have the output as formatted like here for a variable update time type. And I can also minus, I create some date, and I create the date time using year, month and date like this. So we have the date month like here, so 2020 and 2000. I change a little bit. Okay, so this is date time type. Using this, I can add more variable to display the date time and to compare which object has the date time here and compare the date time between objects. So if you want to have more format, you can use external library. We use int library allow you to customize your date time. So you search for pub.dep. Yes, so in pub.dep you can search for many library or package in Flutter and Dart. Okay, so click to Flutter and search for the datetime library and search for intl. Yes, so here the intl here, there is a detail, and you can see the library. Each library has much has many and so you can use it. You paste the library name and the version to here, and then you can command S to reload the library, and you import the library in line 3. Import package int /inl.dart. So the text here we can use the function inside the library. Date format is a format, year, month, date, and dot format now. And here we have the correct format. We have a format which familiar to see. We have various kinds of formatting this. So YMMD, yes. So we have the format like here with text, with letter, and with multi-language, and can also format a number using this library. For example, we have a number like format. So we can get there is a number, and I want to get about 2 digit. Yes, and here you add the format at here, and you command S to save your file and run again to see. Okay, so this is end of my lesson today. Thank you so much for watching. Bye bye, and see you next time. Hello everybody. Today we continue with an example of how to lay out using custom column, button, text. So here we have a column. A column means we have many children inside the column. The children here is widgets. So we have text field, we have text, we have etc., and we have my own widgets. And the text field has decoration. You can decorate the text field using input decoration. And the label text here is a hint, the hint text to remind you about how to fill in this text field. for example, enter content, the amount. So here we can define a text field. We have two text fields for inputting some the information of content and amount. For example, buy a computer, buy an iPhone, and the price you pay for the transaction. Yes, and below the transaction we add a flat button. A flat button here is a button which has an action. When you type, when you press the action, then a new transaction has been added to the list of transaction, or the array of transaction has been added more. Okay. So the main axis alignment start from top. Yes, start with top, from up to down. Mean start it is top, and end mean bottom. Yes, from up to down. We have main axis alignment, so we have a column. Yes, from top to bottom, or start to end. Yes, very easy to remember. So we add it into a scaffold. A scaffold is a body of material app widgets, and I paste to the column here. Then we can add a save area. Save area, what does it mean? Save area is occur in iPhone X, yeah, iPhone X and above. So we remove the save area, top and bottom. Then we have this like here. So we copy this and tap to display as Flutter style. Yes. And inside the scaffold we have column. So we have a text field. We have two text field, and we have flat button. And we define the minimum. The minimum is a constant value. It cannot be changed, so I assign it as constant. Then the compiler can it can be easier to understand, to recognize, to compile your code. So the edge inset here, we have edge inset. We have a left and right space. We add a left and right space to the save area using the minimum left and right space. So I copy this code line, and this code, this property will become the state, y state, because I change the value of content and the value of amount internally. So we change by the user. Yes, the user type the content, and the user type the amount. Yes, so we have two controller. The text editing controller, one text view has one text editing controller, and two text view we have two text editing controller. So I set a property of controller to the content controller. The controller value of text field amount for the amount controller. Underscore mean internal or private. Underscore internal or private property. I set the color to pink sand. I set the text color. The text color may be white. Yes, white. But you can define your color by using hex code. Hex code means red, green, blue, and the value between 0 to FF. Yes. The on press function is an event. The event is called when you press to the button, and it prints to the controller that you press this button. Okay. After pressing this, so you press the button. Yes, it will display to your screen that you press this button. Okay. what we want to do here is when you type the amount, when you type the content, for example, by a computer, and the price you paid, 1,020 and $200, for example, and you press insert transaction, so it will add to an existing list about an existing array of transaction. Okay, so we have to define some state here. So we have two state, content and the price. We have two state. So we have two string, string content and string price, and it is internal, sure. So I add the underscore character like here. Okay, so move down, we have controller, and we define on change. On change is an action or function. This function is called when you type one character, you change one character, then on change is called. Yes, so on change here is a function. The function input text. Text means the character you type in your text field, and it consists state to change the state. The state here is the text value, so I can change by changing the amount to the text. Similarly with the content. Here you have to try pass. Try pass mean convert a text to a double. Yes, double try pass a text. It will convert. If the conversion is unsuccessful or a fail, it gets a default value 0. Yes, so if error, the value here is 0. So this is default value in case the conversion or the path is failed. Yes. And you have an on-change function for content. When you type change the content, the value is text, and I change by calling set state. I set the content to text. Okay, I set content to text, and then we have two value of state, and you press this button. What about this? So here I display to the controller the value you type. I show the content and I show the amount. Yes, very simple for you to understand this state. And when you type content, for example, by a computer, and the amount maybe $1,020. Yes, and you press, so it display to the controller that the content here and the amount here. So I use this to create an object of transaction and insert to an existing list. So if you want to display to use interface, you can use the snack bar. Snack bar is a small view, so at the bottom to show you that what you type. Yes, it is something like Toast and Android and alert in iOS. Yeah, the same as with alert controller and Toast in Android. So here, the arrow here means that you have to get the pointer to the reference to the scaffold. So how to fix this? For simply to fix this, you can create a property of global key. You create a property of global key scaffold state, and this I initialize this global key, and I have to set the key of the scaffold to this. Yes, and how to display to UI. So you can call scaffold key get the current state dot show snack bar. I create an object of snack bar, so a small bottom view to display, and I display the text inside the snack bar, and the duration is the time 3 seconds. 3 seconds to display, and after 3 seconds it disappears, but it still error. You can fix this by assigning assign the value of key, the property key of scaffold set to the scaffold key. You have just defined it's a property of this widgets. Okay, so you can display content and the amount here. Okay, yes, and you can display to you for you to show. Okay, this is the end of my lesson today. Thank you very much for watching, and see you in the next lesson. Hello everybody, in this lesson we continue with how to transmit the state to list type using map function. So here now I want to add the transaction object to a list of transactions. Yes. After pressing to this insert transaction button, the object has been added to a list of objects, a list of transactions. Yeah. If you have many property inside screen, you must add it into an object. So I call this object from class transaction. Yeah. So we define a list of transaction. Yeah. So where is transaction? Now I define. I copy this code, and yes, I copy this name and create a new Dart file. I renamed it to transaction.dart, and I define a class transaction, and I copy these two property to this transaction. Yes. So we define it. We firstly import the material app class transaction, and I paste string content and double amount. Yes. So we define a constructor to create an object from the two property. So it is label argument. It has label arguments. Mean you can initialize using your label parameter, and then in here I import the transaction to this file or this class. I define the transaction to this class, and here I type transaction.dart, import transaction.dart, and move down. So here I define a list of transactions with plural forms. The object here is plural form, not singular form. And the transaction here is a new transaction. The new transaction has been created from the information you type, and I define a blank transaction with content and amount here. Okay, and then I define a transaction list. That is a transaction list and array of transaction. I also initialize a blank transaction array, so we call list transaction. Yes. So here we have a transaction list, a blank transaction list. Then in set state I create a new object of transaction. So I set the content to the text you type, and I set the amount to the text you type. Yes, so here will become transaction dot amount. Yes, and I replace this with transaction dot content, and I replace the amount with yes. You remember to add a open and close brace, curly brace, and here to access the property inside the object, the transaction $amount, yes. And adding more $. So when you type the input information content by a laptop, and the amount is about $1,020 insert transaction. Okay, so I see the name, the property names has been displayed to the snack bar. Yes, it display about 3 seconds. Then you set state when you press. When you set state, the transaction has been added more, and the transaction here is called a state. Yes, and when the state is changed, the view is reload, and after it reload, it can refresh the list view I defined later. So here's the transaction list. I show the transaction by calling toString. Yes, and when you type by an iPhone, and the amount here is 999 and press send. Okay. So here you can see, yes, press enter, and you must override the toString. You must implement the toString function. The toString function allows you to display the detailed information about the existing object. So you can display whatever you want. Any property in this object can be displayed. In case of it is private, it's also okay, no problem. When you type and press insert transaction, you can see the information below the snack bar. And restart the application again, and type your information again by an iPhone, and enter your price below. Yes, insert. Okay. Yes. Okay, so here it displays the information you type, and it added to the existing list. Yes. So in I refactor this code a little bit. So I will remove the text view value when you add new transaction, to ensure that you have just add the existing and prepare for the new transaction object. Yes. And now I redefine the transaction to a blank transaction, and I set the content controller, the text of the input of the text view. I can set the text of text view through the controller. Yes. For example, content controller dot text is blank string. Amount controller dot text is blank string. Yes. Quite simple. Okay, so now when you type your information and press insert transaction, you can see the content has been displayed below through the snack bar. Yes. And now test again. It is okay. Test again. So here now I want to display the list. Yes, display the list. How to display the list? We can display. We have many type of display a list. List view, column, scroll. Yes, many ways to display. So now I display the object. Firstly, type by an iPhone and enter your information Yes. Okay, so now I change. Okay, what is this? This problem is here. So snake bar is good, so no problem. Okay, so now I add a padding to this. Padding means a space. You add a space between the flat button and the text field, and we have many ways to do this. You can use container, add a container outside the flat button, or button theme outside flat button. Then or I add a space. The space you can use padding or size box, the same. Yeah, there are many ways to do. You can add a padding or add a space, and I wrapped the flat content inside the button theme with high. You set the high for the button theme, and the child button theme is a flat button. When you in case you type information and press on the flat button, the action is called. Okay, so you can set the high as the high. The high is about 50 is enough. I think it is enough. And you customize the text by set the style for set text style. You change the font size. The font size to 18. Okay, 18 is okay. 18. And it is constant because it assigned one time. Yes, assigned one time and not change. So you constant. Constant is better than final. Please use constant as much as possible, because the compiler will be faster when reading to a constant variable, a constant value. And here a children of column, we add many list type. List type means a row. Yes, a row. We have many row. We have many list type. A list has many list type. Yes. So the list type has the index, the title, the icon, and so we have two text and one icon. We have a title, we have subtitle, for example, computer, and it is a laptop computer to describe the detail. And the constant is a on the left or on the start of the list type. We have a leading. Leading means start icon. We add an icon here, so we can use the existing icon. Access alarm. Yes, we have many icons with material design inside the library, inside the material package of Flutter. Okay. So now wait a few seconds to run. Yes, what a problem with my code. My code is run long time, but I understand. So on tap, when the action called when you tap to the list time, it is something like on press on button. When you tap, it calls the function. Yes. So on tap something like similarly to on press. Yes. And when you tap, it will display tap me, press me, press me. Yes. On tap or on press as the same. So I copy the list of widgets to the list. Yes, I can use maybe list view. Okay, no. So in this lesson, I want to transmit between the object of transaction to the object of list type using map. Yes, map is a function that convert from this array to another array. So we have two independent arrays. We have two independent arrays, an array of objects and an array of use interface. An object of transaction object and an object and a list of list type So map, the syntax here is 0.1.map and conversion function, and then dot to list to convert back to the list. The input is list and the output will be list. We have a separated list with different kind, with different value, different type of value inside. And now run again, perform hot restart if needed. So type your information by a laptop and the amount here, enter your amount, money amount, yes, and press insert transaction, yes, okay. So the list has been displayed here. If you press more, you can buy something and you type some number, yes. So here we have a list, very easy to understand this. Use list type. List type is very simple and flexible, but with more complicated list, you can use list view and define your list item. Don't use list type in complicated. And I replace this with the value from the transaction object, and then I display the each object dot amount, each object of dot content, yeah, and remove constant, because now every type has different value from each transaction object. So remove constant here not applicable, yes. So you remove the constant value, the constant icon, the constant text, remove, because unnecessary to use this in this case. Yes, remove, and rebuild your application again to see the output. So perform hot reloading to remove all existing item in the list, yes. So for testing by typing by computer, yes, so by computer this is price, and add more by adding, for example, by an iPhone, yes, by an iPhone, and you type the amount for about $500 and $900, 1, 2, 3, etc. Okay, so we have a two item has it is refresh and insert to the existing list, because now the transaction here, the transaction list here is a state of this stream, a state of this widgets. As so you can display here the detail content when you press, to ensure that you press on the right. Yes, you click on my computer and then you click to by an iPhone. Okay, so click to a specific item inside the list. Okay, so this is the end of my lesson today. Thank you very much for watching, and nice to see you again.